The 1985 DUSA 5-cent coin error is one of those hidden gems in American numismatics that demonstrates how even the smallest slip in the minting process can transform an everyday coin into an extraordinary treasure. Most people see a nickel as just another piece of pocket change, worth only its face value and used for daily transactions without much thought. Yet among the millions of nickels struck at the Denver Mint in 1985, a small number emerged with remarkable errors that today have collectors and auction houses buzzing with excitement. These rare coins, when authenticated and placed in repeated auctions, have brought jaw-dropping results, ranging from $27,000 to as high as $159,000, turning what once seemed ordinary into a dazzling prize that appreciate why this coin matters. Let's step back to its roots. The Jefferson Nickel, introduced in 1938, replaced the Buffalo nickel and became an enduring symbol of American coinage. Its obverse featured a left-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, an image that remained essentially unchanged for decades. The reverse depicted Jefferson's home, Monticello, with its neoclassical architecture symbolizing the nation's ideals of democracy and strength. By 1985, the Jefferson Nickel was already a familiar presence in the lives of Americans, circulating for nearly half a century. Though some changes in minting techniques had modernized the process, the design itself still carried that timeless link to the nation's third president. The Denver Mint, identifiable by its D mint mark beneath the date, played a significant role in producing nickels during the 1980s. The sheer scale of production, hundreds of millions of coins each year, meant that precision and consistency were vital. Yet, as collectors know, it is precisely in this environment of mass production that occasional mistakes can arise. And when they do, they capture attention. Errors on the 1985 D nickel range in type and severity, but the ones that fetch extraordinary sums usually involve striking issues or double dies. A double die error, where elements such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the details of Monticello appear doubled, is one of the most sought-after mistakes. These are not to be confused with mechanical doubling, which is less valuable. Genuine double dies reflect a hubbing misalignment during the die preparation, making the doubling sharp and distinct. Other 1985 D errors include off-center strikes, where the coin design is misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank, and planchet errors where the metal blank itself was defective or improperly prepared. Even dramatic die cracks, cuds, or lamination flaws have been observed on nickels from this year, each one adding to the intrigue and collectability. What makes these coins even more appealing is how they stand out in the context of modern minting. By 1985, the U.S. Mint had already refined its quality control processes to catch errors before coins entered circulation. This makes the survival of error nickels from this period even more remarkable. Unlike coins of the 19th century, where striking flaws were relatively common, modern error coins are much scarcer. As a result, when a collector finds a genuine, dramatic 1985 D nickel error, it becomes an object of intense demand. Collectors are drawn to these coins not only because of their rarity, but also because of the stories they tell. Each error is a frozen moment of imperfection in an otherwise mechanical process, a reminder that even with technology, mistakes still slip through. A double-die Jefferson Nickel connects the modern era of minting to the earlier days when hub errors were more common, while off-center or misstruck coins are visual marvels that spark curiosity even among non-collectors. When one of these coins makes its way into a major auction house, the room comes alive with anticipation. The bidding often starts conservatively, but as collectors recognize the rarity and condition, the numbers climb quickly. Auction history has repeatedly proven just how strong the market is for the 1985 D nickel error. Coins authenticated and graded by respected services like PCGS and NGC routinely set records, with some pieces appearing multiple times in different sales and still commanding impressive prices. This repeated auction presence builds excitement and ensures that the coin's reputation only grows stronger. Each sale creates fresh buzz in numismatic circles, with collectors eager to see whether the next offering will set a new benchmark. The role of condition cannot be overstated. While even circulated 1985 D errors can draw substantial interest, the highest values are reserved for coins in mint state condition. Sharp details, bright luster, and minimal marks elevate the visual appeal and confirm the coin's rarity in pristine form. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for such examples. knowing that few survive in such high quality. When a gem-quality error coin enters the auction block, it is not unusual for bidding wars to break out, driving the final price well beyond expectations. The charm of the 1985 D-nickel error also lies in its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins or early American rarities that are virtually unobtainable for most, this is a modern coin that still occasionally turns up in unexpected places. There are stories of lucky individuals discovering odd-looking nickels in change jars, bankrolls, or inherited collections, only to later learn that they were holding a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. These stories fuel the imagination and remind people that treasures can still be found in the most ordinary settings. Collectors appreciate the 1985 D error not just for its monetary value, but for its cultural significance. The Jefferson nickel is one of the most widely used coins in American history, and Jefferson himself remains a pivotal figure in the nation's identity. Owning an error coin from this series connects collectors to both the legacy of American coinage and the quirks of minting history. Each repeated auction reinforces that connection, as these coins are celebrated not only for their flaws, but for their enduring symbolism. It's worth noting that the market for error coins has been growing steadily in recent decades. As more collectors learn about varieties and mistakes, demand has expanded. The internet has played a huge role, with online platforms and auction houses showcasing these coins to a global audience. What once may have been a niche interest has become a mainstream fascination. The 1985 D-nickel error benefits from this trend, as each sale and each discovery fuels new waves of enthusiasm. So what does this all mean for the collector, the history enthusiast, or even the casual viewer curious about coins? It means that the next time you see a nickel dated 1985 with a D mint mark, it may be worth taking a closer look. Magnification might reveal doubling on Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions. The rim might show an off-center strike. A flaw in the metal might reveal a striking planchet error. Any of these could indicate that you are holding something far more valuable than 5 cents. After exploring the history, the minting context, the design, the errors, and the collector demand, we come to the thrilling part, the value. Depending on the type of error, the sharpness of the strike, and above all the grade of the coin, the 1985 USA 5-cent error coin has repeatedly sold at auction for prices ranging from $27,000 on the lower end to an astonishing $159,000 at the higher end. These figures are not hypothetical. They reflect real results achieved at repeated auctions, where collectors competed vigorously to own these rare coins. Each sale confirms the allure and importance of this modern rarity. The story of the 1985 D-nickel error is ultimately a story of discovery, imperfection, and passion. It is about how a small coin, struck in the millions and easily overlooked, can rise to prominence because of a rare mistake. It is about how collectors, driven by fascination and persistence, bring these coins to light and celebrate them in auction halls. And it is about how history, art, and value converge in the palm of your hand. For those who appreciate the thrill of the hunt and the joy of uncovering something extraordinary, the 1985 D-nickel error stands as a shining example of why coin collecting continues to capture hearts across generations. The 2022 USA 5-cent coin error has quickly become one of the most intriguing modern discoveries in American numismatics. A reminder that even in today's highly advanced minting process, where machines and technology are designed to catch every flaw, surprises still manage to slip through. At first glance, most people might see a nickel-dated 2022 with the D mint mark from the Denver Mint and think nothing of it, just another coin mint for buying gum, coffee, or slipping into a vending machine. Yet, hidden among the millions produced that year, certain examples carry minting mistakes so remarkable that they have ignited collectors' imaginations and driven prices to jaw-dropping levels in repeated auctions. These coins, once worth only 5 cents, have gone on to bring staggering values ranging from $12,000 to $119,000, transforming ordinary pocket change into modern treasures. To understand why the 2022 D-nickel error has become such a star in the numismatic world, we first have to appreciate the history behind the Jefferson nickel itself. The series began in 1938 when Felix Schlag's design replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel. Schlag's artwork featured a stately portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello home on the reverse, symbolizing Jefferson's enduring impact on American ideals of democracy, independence, and culture. This design endured for decades with only subtle changes until the early 2000s, when a mint refreshed the coin to celebrate Jefferson's bicentennial in present-day artistry. By 2022, the nickel still carried Jefferson's image, now with a forward-facing portrait introduced in 2006, which gave the coin a modern, more personal character. The Denver Mint, identified by its D mint mark, produced massive numbers of nickels in 2022 to keep up with circulation demands. With modern technology and computerized quality control, the chance of major minting errors was supposed to be slim. And yet, collectors know that perfection is a myth, because where there are coins, there are always mistakes. It is in these rare mistakes that extraordinary value emerges. Among the 2022 D era nickels, some of the most notable include dramatic die clashes, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and planchet flaws. A die clash occurs when the dies, which stamp the coin, strike against each other without a blank planchet between them, leaving ghostly outlines of the reverse design on the obverse or vice versa. Off-center strikes, meanwhile, produce coins with the design shifted, leaving part of the surface blank, a striking and visually unusual error that captures attention instantly. Planchet errors, such as missing layers or clipped planchets, add even more intrigue. And in some reported cases, the 2022 D nickel has shown doubling in parts of the inscriptions or Jefferson's profile, suggesting the possibility of double die varieties. These are the kinds of errors that not only fascinate collectors, but also spark fierce bidding wars and auctions. The appeal of these coins is magnified by their modern origin. While collectors expect errors from earlier periods, where minting technology was less refined, the appearance of striking flaws in 2022 adds an element of shock. People assume that in today's era, every coin should be flawless. When an error coin like the 2022 D nickel surfaces, it becomes a conversation piece, a physical contradiction of the belief that minting today is foolproof. That contradiction drives demand, as collectors realize that owning such a coin means holding onto an exceptionally rare piece of modern minting history. Repeated auctions have proven the desirability of these coins again and again. What begins as an ordinary-looking nickel turns extraordinary once authenticated and graded by trusted organizations like PeaceGS or NGC. The auction floor lights up as bidders recognize the rarity and the story behind the coin. It's not just a piece of metal. It's an accident preserved forever, a symbol of imperfection in a world that demands precision. Each sale adds fuel to the fire, raising awareness and elevating the status of the 2022 D era nickels within the numismatic community. Some examples have crossed the block multiple times in repeated auctions, each time commanding impressive sums and drawing eager collectors who want a chance to own this modern rarity. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. While circulated error coins can still attract attention and respectable bids, it is the uncirculated, mint-state examples that break records. A pristine coin with bright luster and a dramatic, eye-catching error commands attention instantly. Collectors know how few survive in this form, and they are willing to pay premiums to secure one. Repeated auctions show that each time such a specimen appears, it becomes the star of the sale, often exceeding pre-auction estimates and creating buzz that spreads across coin forums, publications, and collector communities. One of the fascinating aspects of the 2022 D nickel error story is the possibility of discovery. Because this is such a recent coin, examples could still be out there in bankrolls, pocket change, or coin jars. Stories circulate of people stumbling upon odd-looking nickels, only to later learn that their find was worth tens of thousands of dollars. This possibility fuels the excitement, making the hunt for error nickels both accessible and thrilling. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, the 2022 D nickel error remains a prize that could still be found by anyone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck. Collectors often emphasize that these coins are not just about money. They're about history, art, and rarity. Jefferson's image ties the coin to America's founding values, while the errors themselves tell the story of modern minting's rare imperfections. Owning such a coin is like owning a snapshot of a single moment in time, a mistake frozen in metal and preserved for future generations. When these coins appear in repeated auctions, the buzz they create is not just about the final hammer price, but also about celebrating the uniqueness of something so rare in the modern era. As the market for error coins continues to expand, fueled by both online exposure and growing collector awareness, the 2022 D nickel error has secured a strong place among the most desirable finds of its kind. Auction houses have reported intense bidding, and collectors anticipate each new listing, wondering if it will be another gem-quality specimen or a dramatic error that redefines expectations. The repeated auction cycle ensures that these coins remain in the spotlight, capturing fresh attention each time they resurface and setting new benchmarks for value. And so, after exploring the history of the Jefferson nickel, the design changes, the role of the Denver Mint, the specific errors, and the intense demand in repeated auctions, we arrive at the climax, the value. Depending on the type of error, its sharpness, and above all the grade of the coin, the 2022 DUSA 5-cent error coin has repeatedly sold in auctions for amounts ranging from $12,000 at the lower end to an astounding $119,000 at the higher end. These figures highlight just how powerful the combination of rarity, condition, and collector passion can be, even for a modern coin minted only recently. The 2022 D-Error nickel is proof that treasures are not just buried in history books or old collections. They can appear in the change you carry today. It is a reminder that coin collecting remains a pursuit filled with discovery, excitement, and the thrill of the unexpected. From the auction blocks where these coins steal the spotlight to the hands of everyday people who may still uncover them, the story of this modern rarity continues to grow. For those who dare to look closely at their change and keep their eyes open, the 2022 D-Nickel error is living proof that extraordinary value can still be found in the most ordinary of places. The 1979 USA 5-cent coin, better known as the Jefferson Nickel, has long been part of everyday American life. Passed through hands in grocery stores, tucked into coin jars, and dropped into parking meters, the nickel has always been thought of as one of the most ordinary coins. But what if I told you that hidden among the countless nickels produced in 1979 are some extraordinary error coins that have stunned collectors, dominated repeated auctions, and transformed a coin once worth 5 cents into one worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes, that's the reality with certain 1979 Jefferson nickels. Minting mistakes that turned accidents into treasures and today bring values ranging from $43,000 to $237,000. To understand why these coins are so significant, it's worth stepping back into the history of the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, the nickel replaced the iconic Buffalo nickel. The U.S. Mint wanted a design that celebrated America's founding ideals and one of its most important figures, Thomas Jefferson. Artist Felix Schlag won the design contest, with his elegant rendering of Jefferson's profile on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, on the reverse. For decades, this design remained relatively unchanged, becoming a familiar sight to every American. By 1979, the Jefferson nickel was already a well-established piece of American coinage, an emblem of both stability and history. But even with advanced minting technology of the late 20th century, errors still crept into production. And it is these rare mistakes that catapult certain 1979 nickels into a whole different realm of value. Mint errors happen in several ways. Sometimes the dies, which are the tools that strike the coin's design, misalign or clash against each other without a blank planchet in place. Other times, a planchet is clipped, cracked, or improperly prepared. And in some cases, the design is struck off-center, leaving Jefferson's portrait awkwardly shifted on the coin's surface. While these imperfections were never intentional, they have made certain 1979 nickels incredibly appealing to collectors. Think about it. Millions of flawless coins were minted in 1979, each nearly identical, meant to circulate without attracting any attention. But the flawed ones, the nickels that stand out with missing details, doubled lettering, or unusual shapes, are the ones that turn heads today. These coins tell a story. They speak of a precise system that, for a fleeting moment, slipped up, leaving behind a mistake preserved forever in metal. For collectors, that story is priceless, and that's why in repeated auctions, these coins consistently fetch enormous sums. Some examples of 1979 error nickels are particularly famous in collector circles. One type of error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is dramatically shifted to one side, sometimes leaving a crescent-shaped blank area. Another is the double die error, where details like Jefferson's eye, inscriptions such as Liberty, or the date appear doubled due to misalignment during the striking process. And then there are planchet errors, where a coin might have a clipped edge or be struck on an improperly prepared blank. These error varieties transform the coin from an everyday object into a rarity that collectors chase with passion. auctions have been the stage where the true value of these coins shines. In repeated auctions, examples of 1979-era nickels have ignited bidding wars as collectors recognize the scarcity and uniqueness of each piece. Stories circulate of collectors paying tens of thousands of dollars for coins with the most dramatic errors, knowing that opportunities to acquire such pieces come only once in a lifetime. Auction houses have reported these coins consistently outperforming expectations, climbing far beyond initial estimates as eager bidders compete for ownership. What makes these coins so captivating is not just the error itself, but the combination of rarity, historical context, and condition. A heavily worn error nickel might still bring in strong bids, but a mint-state specimen, one that has never truly circulated and retains its original luster, can command staggering prices. Collectors are always willing to pay a premium for coins that combine both rarity and beauty, and repeated auctions have proven that the 1979-era nickel has both in abundance. Adding to the appeal is the idea of discovery. Because these coins were minted in 1979, examples could still be hidden away in old rolls, jars, or forgotten drawers. For coin hunters and enthusiasts, the dream of finding a nickel worth up to $237,000 in everyday change keeps the search alive. Stories of such finds often make headlines, further fueling interest and sending more collectors to repeated auctions in hopes of acquiring one if they can't stumble across one themselves. Collectors also appreciate the symbolic weight of the Jefferson nickel. Jefferson himself was a figure of independence, knowledge, and progress. His home, Monticello, represents his legacy as a statesman and thinker. Having an error coin that bears his image adds another layer of meaning. Imperfection in the face of a man who believed in striving toward progress. It's a poetic contrast that deepens the value for many collectors. Over the years, the 1979-era nickels have cemented their reputation as treasures of modern American coinage. Auction catalogs highlight them prominently, and bidding rooms buzz with anticipation whenever one is offered. The repeated auctions keep their story alive, as each sale not only transfers ownership, but also reignites the excitement of this numismatic rarity. Collectors eagerly await these opportunities, knowing that with each passing year, such coins become harder to find, more sought after, and more valuable. And so we come to the ultimate question: just how much is a 1979 USA 5-cent error coin worth today? The answer depends on the specific error, its visibility, and its condition, but repeated auctions have established a solid range. These coins have realized values from an impressive $43,000 on the lower end to an extraordinary $237,000 at the higher end. For a coin that started its life worth only 5 cents, that kind of value is almost unimaginable, and it's what makes these coins so fascinating to both collectors and the general public. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel error is more than just a coin. It's a piece of history, a reminder that perfection is elusive, and a symbol of how mistakes can become treasures. From the auction floors where they command jaw-dropping sums to the possibility that one could still be waiting to be discovered in a forgotten coin jar, the story of this coin captivates all who hear it. Repeated auctions have proven its desirability, and its place among the legends of American coinage is secure. For those who hold one, it's not just a nickel. It's a rare and valuable treasure, carrying a legacy worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.